All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Oregairu, Season 3, Episode 4. We had our little faux dance for getting the footage. We had a little bit of an encounter with Hiratsuka, which might be teasing something about her leaving. We had a really, really spicy conversation with Iroha.
Absolutely excellent.
And thus the episode was then named Why Iroha is the Best Underclassman.
Right. Yeah. Because she's not your little sister.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Even if...
And that doesn't count as a dance with Yui.
Oh!
But that's probably the best we're going to get.
Yui, though. That's the thing. So, it still was a dance with Yui. Yep. So,
I know.
Pain without love. Pain.
Let's just twist it full revolution. Let's just go.
Yep. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below. Then come back here for the discussion. All right. Okay, this episode was a doozy. We had a really, really good salvo of interactions on the school side of things because we are realizing, okay, the prom thing looks like it's going to be a buzz with the school.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's really excited about it.
And oh, no, change.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, Mama comes back to make her move. And what I think is rather exciting about this is that she kind of played her hand almost a bit obviously.
Okay.
One of the things that's rather cool about this is it basically puts her very front and foremost as a villain to Yukino in front of all of her friends. So, in a couple ways, Hachiman, this is kind of the way in which she might need to be saved. But we're not sure about that right now because she did ask to do this on her own. But we'll see. Next bit, though, is just the fact that this huge development happened with their dynamic as a club, and then Yui and Haruno's kind of little interactions as well, kind of bookending both sides of this.
Right. Or
Yui's bookended both of them, but Haruno's was kind of like perfectly inserted right after the stuff with Yukino's mom.
Because it's funny, like, and not funny like comedic, but funny as in interesting, odd. Why was Haruno there?
Oh, because the mom recruited her.
Mom recruited her.
She's an alumni that comes in and basically says, you represent all of them, so I need you to back me up on this.
Exactly. Now.
And Haruno's just choosing her fights, and she's just like,
Right. She agrees when she literally has to have like, no, there weren't any other issues with past end of year, celebrations and stuff. That was not something that happened. Oh, the alumni? Oh, well, it's not that many of them, quite frankly. And, she's all like...
Well, she was specifically saying actually about both groups that there weren't that many negative opinions in general.
Right.
And then she like quickly, like venomously turned back at her like, shut up.
Get in line. Yeah,
exactly.
Why did I bring you here in the first place?
Right.
And I love that Haruno, while she's there, she's like...
I love Haruno.
She's like spinning her drink and like looking at her nails and she's like, you know why I'm here. It's not because I'm choosing to be here, but, Yeah,
I got recruited.
Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And the idea that then the mom is like, well, no, see... business acquaintances of ours have concerns, and they brought those concerns to me. I need to take them seriously.
And it's not, I need to take them seriously. You need to take them seriously.
You need to take them seriously, too, right. And the whole thing of, hey, just because it's a minority of people that have an issue with something, don't just ignore them, right? And that's good. It can be good advice, in certain circumstances, right? But, it's the whole thing of the... Oh, I mean, not me personally, but
no. She's saying I personally,
right. But usually hiding behind the whole idea of there are other people who also want this. When theoretically, I wouldn't be surprised if she was entirely the person who started the drama surrounding it.
It doesn't really matter. She's here personally because she has a problem with it.
Right.
If she didn't have a problem with it, she wouldn't have brought it up. They know why she's here. She's telling them effectively why she's here.
Yeah.
The main difference is that we just have all our allies on one side here, and it really is basically her against all of them, which is perfect because
proper boss battle.
In a lot of ways, they need everyone. But what's really a powerful thing about this is that Yukino can actually handle her by herself. Possibly. She doesn't need any of them necessarily.
And the thing that's keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, the thing that's tough about this is that, taking this as a boss battle, right? And the lessons that Yukino has been learning over the course of this series, and the fact that Haruno brought up the whole codependency thing and stuff, it's great to bring up.
Yeah. Fucking God.
Right. And it's like the way she said it was like, I've been waiting to actually tell you this word. But fighting a boss on your own, that could be seen as, hey, no, I need to show that I've grown and I've come into my own and I'm not going to be depending on you guys. I'm independent, right? Awesome. That could also be seen as the height of either stupidity or folly, or the goading of the antagonist to be like, yes, come face me yourself because I know you can't defeat me alone, so...
Well, that's the thing. She does need to defeat her alone.
Yeah.
The idea of codependency in something that is an extremely, extremely good thing that this show is bringing up, because there are so many aspects about Yui's relationship with the rest of them that bugged me. And Yukino's was one that was a little bit more blunt and right in front of us, so we knew where the problem was and where it needed to be addressed.
Sure.
But... the fact that this is not a thing that's just, one of their problems or two of them. It's all three of them have had this problem of using the group to basically, to kind of pretend like they've got this really strong connection when it's actually something where they're just pulling on each other without giving anything.
Right.
And here, the end of the episode... Hachiman kind of says, yeah, I understand her requests, and I understand what she, has requested here, and now I'm going to make this choice. Well, why? You need to say it. And it's because she asked me to save her at some point, so I'm going to do it. And I'm independent, too. I can make my own choices.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about this is that we don't know if that's actually a step forward or backward for Hachiman necessarily. But like he said about
for Hachiman?
The mom... Absolutely.
Oh, I think it's 100% a step forward.
But like he said with the mom, she's not a person you can fight with just logic. So Hachiman's codependency issues within this group, I would say, is the fact that he kind of needs to be the one to help.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why it's him also not helping has been important up till now, right? Because in the same way that Yukino needs to be independent and work on her own, Hachiman needs to not get involved, right? He needs to basically give Yukino that space, right?
Yep, exactly.
Now, then the whole thing of at some point save me, that's the
that's not necessarily a good kind of statement just to make in general from a healthy standpoint.
Exactly.
And that it is maybe rooted in some codependency.
But you never...
There's something genuine hidden in there.
Codependency, the reason that it's an issue is not because it's fundamentally a problem, but because it's a potentially helpful thing that isn't balanced out. It's taken to an extreme.
So there's codependency, there's independency, and there's interdependency.
Right.
Interdependency, the only difference between it and independent is that you don't deny the times when you're dependent.
Right.
That's the only difference. It's basically all based on the ability to choose. So the ability to choose to say no, the ability to choose to say yes.
Right. And I'd say that's the same kind of relation that it has to codependency, is that in codependency, it's you aren't comfortable enough with being independent, the times when you could be independent to actually
To simplify it even more, codependency is basically when you feel compelled to say yes or no even when you don't want to. And that's why Yui's had this problem, is that she can't actually be honest or vulnerable. She believes that it's something that is actually, a problem that's outside and, it's something that's based on her feelings and stuff. But no, if she was just actually honest and vulnerable and wasn't codependent in this regard,
Right.
and actually
if she
owned
let
her.
the tears keep going.
Yep, exactly.
And that's the issue, right?
Let Hachiman make the choice, but she doesn't want him to make the choice.
And this is
she knows
where
what he'll choose.
This is where I feel like it's this wonderful, like, continual escalation and revealing of the final conflict for the show without giving a definitive answer of what way it's going to go, even though that we have a general idea of some ways that it's going to go. Because
it's going to end. It's going to end with a very, very happy ending, I would say.
Totally.
For the characters all involved, because they're going to have finally come over this hurdle and become their own individual people.
Right. But as far as how that's going to happen,
right.
In Yukino's situation, she is making the most active effort to break off the codependency by saying, "No, I'm going to face my mom on my own." However, her decision to do so, in order for that to truly be her decision, it needs to be a decision that's made regardless of environment and whether or not she can actually take on her mom by herself.
It doesn't matter.
No,
right?
It shouldn't matter. Ideally, it wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But we won't necessarily know if that is truly a decision that she's merely making because she believes she can beat her mother, or regardless of whether I beat my mom or not, I'm going to do this because I want to, even if it means failing, then fail hard and fail on my own, and that'll be a wonderful lesson in experience.
See,
on its own.
See, this is one of the things, though, about codependency that's really insidious, is that it's not about what the result is. It doesn't matter. It ultimately is about freedom. It is about the idea that when you enter into a codependent relationship, you put invisible chains on yourself and the other person.
Right.
And you basically then demand that not only do we keep the chains there, we don't acknowledge the chains. The chains must be things that we just forget about. Just forget about them, move on. Independency comes and says, I don't care about the pain, the consequence, and the issues or what have you. We can't have chains here. Breaks them. In the dynamic with Yukino and her mom, it does not really matter about whether she can do it. It's about the act of choosing to do it and then saying to her people that she has been in codependent relationships with, I need you to let me fail. I need you to let me go and make this choice here, regardless of whether or not she fails. It's the act that's important there.
Right.
What you do in response, I can't control that. But I will tell you what I would like you to do, which is to not help me. Hachiman has then basically said, okay, I won't help you. Then later gets the added info and goes, I don't know.
In a struggle to be independent, it is very easy to go into the realm of being alone or trying to go it alone. I would say because if you're trying to make sure that you're self-sufficient in your own strength, then you can at the negative end of independency is the pushing of other people away, right?
Sure.
And that's why
it just doesn't seem easy, though.
Okay, but that's why interdependency is important, right? Because then it's the acknowledgement that I can do this alone, but I don't have to, so I choose not to, right?
Right, but the choice is important.
But the choice is important, and that's the difference between codependency, right? So in this situation, Yukino is in the process of making that decision that I'm going to do this on my own. Please let me do this. Hachiman going to save her could theoretically be very much getting in the way.
Could be.
Because she needs to not just communicate to everyone around her and to her mother, but also to herself in no uncertain terms so that she knows that the chains are broken.
Right.
So that way, when she asks them for help in the future, she knows that it's not because she's giving in to some weakness, some desire to, or some hesitancy to actually do things on her own.
Right.
So now Hachiman is basically saying, okay, Haruno dropped the codependency word. Yukino said that she doesn't want help. I want to respect that. At the same time, there was this point when she said there will be a time where I will need you to save me.
No. Does that apply to all time? Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
And it'll mean a hell of a lot that he'll basically come along saying, I think this might be that time, right?
Yeah.
But then it'll still be Yukino's response of, well,
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, exactly. And that freedom to choose is really important here. This is something that I have so much passion surrounding here. In relationships in general, there has to be an understanding that people will reject you.
Yeah.
And they are under no obligation. Let's like hear it out here. They're under no obligation to say yes to you.
Yep.
This is a very, very important thing that I think a lot of people don't really get, is that when you're in a relationship with two people, you are actively, daily choosing that relationship. And this goes to everything from, relationships that are by, happenstance because you end up both liking the same thing,
Sure.
Convenience because you're in similar environments,
Right.
or, blood family relationships where there's like, Haruno and Yukino and their mother, like that's all a thing that is not just existing in a vacuum. There is active freedom and free will with regards to how the people in that relationship choose to act, to where they can both reject it and say yes to things within it. So all that to say that what Hachiman is doing is basically weighing she said don't do this.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to respect that. New data comes in. I really am having trouble making my original choice now. I'm going to choose this. Hachiman is going to get blowback for it.
Yes.
But it is the right choice. And here's how I'll explain why. He is going to meet with Hiratsuka. Mm-hmm. So on a meta level, we know it's the right call because he's going to get aid from Hiratsuka.
Okay.
Second part here is that Hachiman just said no to Yui. He had previously just said, I was going to make this cake with you.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing that right now. Something else came up, and now he's basically changing his mind. What he's doing here could be seen as the similar thing of, now I'm switching back into older brother mode. I'm not actually going to be, caring about her feelings and what have you. But one of the things that Yukino might be a little bit blind to, a little bit unaware of, is that people help you even if they don't take an active role in the thing that you're doing.
Right.
One of the things that Hachiman will very, very much discuss with Hiratsuka, very much discuss, is the idea in which he has helped Yukino grow so much in the last year without actively attempting to.
Right. Yeah.
But like, what does that look like? Like, you'd have to get really into it.
Does that make it any less of Yukino's actual decision and things like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as he's not stepping on her free ability to choose to say no to his help, then any kind of thing like this is totally fine.
And that's why I get so excited about the fact that this happened in episode 4.
Right.
Because
this is 12, 13 episodes.
One of those two, but either way, that's 8. Whether it's 8 or 9 episodes left in the series, that's still a shitload of time.
So much
and
story.
Oregairu knows how to pack stuff in to the episodes.
It does, yeah.
Like, as far as just episodes of anime, these things are dense, right? So the amount of stuff that can happen between now and then is pretty crazy. And the fact that now, with Haruno dropping that codependency word, with Yui getting kind of rejecting herself,
Well, she got rejected also by Hachiman.
Well, but that's the thing. There was that part of her that's like, if those tears hadn't stopped, I don't think he would have gone. Right?
Maybe, but you'll never know, Yui.
Well, and that's the thing that I'm curious about, because on the one hand, it feels to me like Yui, by doing that, is keeping herself chained up, absolutely, right? And hence the I wish the tears hadn't stopped.
Sure.
But it's also done in a way that's kind of her best attempt to break off Hachiman's chains of codependency to her.
It's more for her own feelings as well.
Sure, and she said at basically the very beginning of the show that her big weakness is that she's too concerned with what other people will think. And so she doesn't really own her decisions and you know, and all that, right?
Yep.
But given the fact that she's having this sort of rude awakening of, all right, this is the, you know, the bed you chose, now you get to lie in it. That gives me that makes me optimistic that right now we're just in the dark night of the soul. Night is darkest just before the dawn. You know, the point where everything is going wrong.
Oh, I think it's going to get way worse.
Oh, totally. Yes, absolutely.
Specifically for certain characters.
This is a romantic comedy snafu, right? And it will absolutely get worse. But even if it gets worse for the next 4 episodes, that means we got a solid 4 or 5 for things to get better.
Right.
And, oh man.
Because on Hachiman's side of things, you're right in that there are ways this can go wrong if he's not in the right headspace. But the idea that he's going to meet up with Hiratsuka is something I'm so excited about.
Oh, me too.
Because Hiratsuka did not say that I'm quitting, that I'm leaving the school, that I'm done, right? He knows that.
Right.
And this is probably one of my favorite episodes for the, come on guys, Hachiman's smart. He knows all this stuff. We're in a love triangle. Ha! You actually said it!
Yeah.
It's like, no, the real answer is codependency.
Yeah.
And I just loved when she's like, you know, there's a term to describe your relationship. I was like, oh yeah, it's codependency. Yeah,
Right,
exactly. Of course it is. We've all been there in high school for sure. But the idea that Hachiman also was aware of, that's the reason why, Hiratsuka, you didn't say anything there as well. Mm-hmm. You're kind of
Haruno's like, wait, you haven't...
Right. Hiratsuka might be also a little bit codependent. Just a little bit. Maybe with Hachiman. With Hachiman specifically. There is a one-on-one connection that they have that is special. And it's nothing like weird or creepy or anything like that. It's just that they have been through a lot of his struggles, if that makes sense.
Well, here's another way to phrase it.
Sure.
That's a bit blunt. He's her pet project.
Ah, sure.
And he's been doing very well.
Yeah.
So naturally, like it's the umbilical cord, right? It's a similar situation, but not as negative of how Yukino's mom has her claws in Yukino, and you know, kind of to a lesser extent Haruno, because it's the you came from me, and I have brought you up so well. Now I have these plans of what you're going to do with the gifts that I've given you.
Sure.
And it doesn't necessarily involve any kind of free will on your own, right?
Well, right. Like, remember, the whole story happened because Hiratsuka decided to put him in this club.
Against his will.
Yes, against his will.
You're in here. Right. You need this. Get in there, right?
So that whole dynamic of, I kind of pushed you into this, Hachiman.
Yep.
That might not have been the right thing for me to do, or at least it might not be the right thing for me to be a part of your kind of, like, I shouldn't hold this spot in your life, basically, anymore. Sure. I'm not trying to, she's trying to, like, leave him, but it's I need to disconnect myself from my attachment to your results.
Right. One of the things that we kind of know about Hiratsuka is that she is dissatisfied with regards to her love life. Now,
could the reason be she spends too much time with this school group and is
basically
too emotionally invested in other things that don't actually benefit her at all?
That also might be a form of her looking into the past, because she specifically set Hachiman up with the younger sister of her friend, who I get the feeling the friendship, relationship, whatever was going on with Haruno and Hiratsuka was one of the things that the mom didn't like when Haruno brought up the whole idea of her also kind of splitting away from mom, and how that went, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'll bet that was the case, and Hiratsuka kind of knows it, right? She knows how it went down. She knows the situation. She lived it. And so she's like, oh, hey, here's maybe a chance for things to go differently, right? She's not present focused, and as a result, she's not putting effort into her present,
into herself,
and then the, you know, things like her love life, you know, her relationships aren't going well. Now, it could totally just be because, she hasn't met the right guy and she's just been meeting a bunch of assholes or whatever. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I'll bet that there will be an element of healthy growth that happens once Hiratsuka leaves the school.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that, yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I love Hachiman running off after Yukino. Because maybe it is codependency, but maybe it's not.
Well,
we don't know.
We can't know.
Right, life isn't certain.
But we do know that this is his choice.
Yes,
because he's actively giving up something else.
But
time there.
Absolutely. At the same time, though, even in codependency, it's still your choice, right? But it's a choice that you don't necessarily feel is yours, right?
But I got you. But the difference is when you're codependent, there's a dragging along of the other one that you're chained with too. The whole thing.
And theoretically, the whole thing of Yukino saying at some point, "Please save me," it could totally.
That it could be that.
It could be that, right?
It could be. Yeah.
But the human heart is a fickle, weird thing that you don't necessarily understand fully, or you definitely don't understand fully. And one of the most wonderful things about this journey that is life is figuring out yourself, right? And especially with regards to growing up, is knowing your own limits and limitations, right? Knowing, okay, I'm not. Maybe this is codependency, maybe it's not, but I feel like there's a good chance that it's not, so I'm going to go for it, and we'll see where the chips lie.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That's why I was saying, that's why I'm excited about it too. Like, I think he's making 100% the right choice here. I think this is something that he's doing, and the reason why he's doing it is because he's so, the reason why he hesitated on it was because he was so conflicted about the potential, codependency aspect of it, but then also having to actually say it. There was a breaking of almost the chains on himself when he actually was able to admit why he's doing this. Yep. And that's okay. And sometimes people do things that are the best call or a good decision, if you will. It's hard to make a value judgment on decisions like that. But they have the wrong reasons as to why they're doing it. But because other people are involved, they kind of look at this and go, thank you. Thank you for this. Because you might not have had your head fully in the right place. His heart's in, at least his heart's in the right place,
Right. The Pirates of the Caribbean thing where it's I believe it was the right decision, but sometimes the right decision for the wrong reasons can be a wrong decision.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the, it's not that, but his heart's in the right place. It's that thing of where,
right.
It's that meme that's going around where they're all like, I don't like it, but he's kind of right,
Sure,
I'm trying to remember what that is.
You don't need to be perfect.
Yes, right? Exactly.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be a good plan to be a plan. And action and movement, it's a lot easier to change the direction of the movement than to actually get moving, right?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, that action is tied to vulnerability.
Yeah, you fail quickly, you'll learn quickly.
Expressing your feelings. Yui.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God, that ballad at the end broke my heart.
That was
just
heartbreaking.
And because the way this conversation is happening, right? And I was totally engrossed in the conversation with Hiratsuka and everything. I'm like, oh shit, what? Okay,
right.
And then at some point, it's like, oh wait a minute, no, Yui's just standing there listening to all this, just watching it unfold. Mm-hmm. And then
sitting on the other side of the door, wishing she could.
Exactly. And maybe even in that silence, there was something genuine. But it's only episode 4, and
only episode 4.
And
right?
why do we go to stories if not to have these characters suffer and struggle? Because that's life. And if we changed so easily, then it wouldn't be that big of a change. Right?
I'm glad to see you've come around on that area there, because you were on the no suffering for Yui train for so long, and it's like they're all suffering.
No, they're all suffering, and that's why I'm glad we got to this point so that could be fully, so that my feelings regarding the matter could be fully brought onto the light. I am all for characters suffering. I just want it to be with that wonderful purpose, you know.
I mean, that's not life, though. Life. People suffer without purpose. It's just pain.
No, right. But we attribute and find purpose in the suffering as a way to go on.
Right, and that's hard. That's not easy.
Yes.
Because there is no real purpose to life. Life just lives, you know.
People could debate that one, but
totally. But that's the philosophy side of things, is that you can't prove it. It's just that's what we hope for.
It's what you choose.
Right. So it is ultimately what you choose. And for here, we had the first instance, really, of where Yui's mask dropped so hard that Hachiman actually might have theoretically stopped and been like, I'm going to take care of you. But the funny thing is that in some ways, that would have been him being the older brother.
Yes, although I'll for the sake of it, I'll throw out a way in which it could have still been breaking the bonds of codependency. And this is one of the reasons why I think the whole thing of him saying, hey, let's go do something when she was at that point in the hallway, was kind of sort of an example of him still, even though totally not realizing it, still being in that codependency. In those situations, right, in that situation in the hallway, I think the best thing that Hachiman could have done, and he wouldn't have known to do this, he's a teenager, right, but would have been to pull a Hiratsuka and be like, no, say it. I'll wait. No, you didn't say it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a thing, though, that when it comes down to measuring the investment, and this is another thing that I think is really rough for Yui, is the investment of someone's dynamic in the relationship is usually expressed in how patient they are with the other person's mistakes. And this is something that in a codependent relationship,
there's
you have infinite patience for someone else's mistakes.
Okay.
You basically they can never do anything wrong.
Sure.
And that's how you know that Yui is so freaking codependent.
Right.
It's the Hachiman.
It's the whole thing of the parents don't be perfect for your kids, because then they won't understand the whole idea that you're also a person and have limits and struggles and pains and right.
But Hiratsuka's thing there works much better for Hachiman because in a lot of ways she's got that mentor role for him. But if Hachiman was to say that, and Yui was in the right place, maybe that's a rough thing to say.
And that's the thing about this whole dynamic at the end, because if Hachiman staying with Yui there would only have been codependent, like there was no option for it to be anything else, then it wouldn't have really been a choice for him to go to Yukino, right? Or not as much of a choice, right?
No.
Well, just hold on for a second.
Okay.
So, because then it wouldn't, the way it is right now, it's not just a question of the choice of codependency or not. It's also the question of who does he actually care the most for? Who is he going to choose as far as,
Well, okay. No, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. Because if he had stayed, maybe that would have been a chance, possibly, once the emotions were raw and brought up to the surface and everything, that they could have actually had that open, honest conversation, right? That none of them have had, ever about what's going on, right?
Yui and Hachiman have never actively spoken about Yui's feelings for Hachiman,
right? And I might be missing some things, but I don't think Hachiman and Yukino have either, and I'm almost certain that Yukino and Yui haven't.
Yukino and Hachiman haven't actively spoken about it in the directest sense. However, they have had moments where they've come close to physically acknowledging each other's feelings.
Right, and I would say that this was
more.
Well, sure, but that's acknowledging in the mutual side of things. In this, I would say it was still an acknowledging of the feelings, because Yui starts crying and Hachiman's like, "Hey, do you need me to walk you home? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?" All
Yeah,
that
but
stuff,
those are not feelings for Hachiman in terms of the "I love you" kind of thing. Those are that's discomfort, and that's sadness and sorrow regarding this choice, the situation that he's put her in right here by his choice.
as a result of her feelings for him.
Right, but that's a layer of indirection that you don't necessarily know. All he knows is that she's not doing well.
No.
I'm with you. I'm saying that there's no guarantee. He's a very observant boy. He knows.
He called it a love triangle. Yeah.
I know, Jacob. He called it a love triangle. But it's the thing of where until it's actively said, then these emotions could be about,
theoretically, possibly.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying that this was a true decision on multiple fronts for Hachiman, because if he had stayed with her, not only would it have been I'll walk you home or whatever, but then they might have actually started talking about so this really seems to be an issue, something that is unsustainable, whatever, do you want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's something that she'd have to lead, though. That's
right. Yeah, it takes two to tango, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's also her feelings. Like, this is part of the thing of where it would be an older brother thing if he's just the one, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Or do you want to talk about it?
Totally, but I would say that's in a similar fashion that it could be an older brother thing when he goes to save Yukino.
That's why I'm saying it's not yet necessarily, because he's going to Hiratsuka before going to save Yukino.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's kind of the relay point for this. And she's in some ways probably going to stop him a little bit in his tracks if he's going at it in that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Because she's really wise with regards to that kind of stuff. And she knows what's going on.
Right. Regardless, Hachiman isn't going to be aware, even if he was going into it with the, older brother kind of a thing, he wouldn't know necessarily that he's doing that. And that's where Hiratsuka would probably be the most helpful. She might be able to help point it out to him.
Yeah.
Because if he was, he probably then wouldn't, right? It would be the thing of, okay, no, I'm actually going to respect her wishes then, but, he believes it isn't, so let's go see.
Right, because he needed Haruno to call him out on that in the room.
Yeah, that too.
After
Mom left.
Yeah.
Right.
She's not going to call him out with her there.
No.
But anyway.
Such a good episode.
Yeah, lots of really good stuff this episode.
Lots of emotions.
And a really dramatic setup for the next episode, given that Hachiman will be the main focus of it. He has to be.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, they literally pulled a production-wise with how this episode is presented, curtains on Yui. Like, they basically said, Yui, your kind of relationship with Hachiman, we might be...
Something ended just now.
Something ended just there.
Something died.
Something died, yeah.
It's up to you to decide what it is.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways, I hope they go through a death and rebirth of their dynamic.
Too. Absolutely.
Because
because I want the greedy ending, just like what you was saying.
Oh.
Of wanting it all. Not that the club dynamic would necessarily stay the same or things like that, right? The codependency has to go.
Yeah.
But that being said, is there a way that we can have a true happy ending for all characters involved in this thing that is also a love triangle?
Yeah.
That'll be tough. But if it wasn't tough, why make a story about it?
Yeah. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.